Hi there. Welcome back to the Daily Fight podcast. Thank you for joining me. My name is Robin Tanner and I am your host on the fight for your future self. And today we're going to be talking about who and what is your future self? How do you even know or define what that is? What if you are starting over and you have a blank slate and you're not quite sure? What if you've experienced some crushed dreams? Maybe you're going through a job loss or a divorce, or maybe you are recovering from a major illness or an injury, or you just retired. Maybe you got let go, whatever it might be, but you're starting over. Or you're at a place in your life like a fork where you're just like, I'm not quite so sure. I want to keep moving forward and I'm ready to take a right turn. How do you know? How do you create that? How do you become that? How do you even start believing in that? How do you know if you're hearing what God wants you to hear or you're just making some stuff up? Well, I am here to help you fight for that future self and create that, because you do get to create it. So first, I want you to think about your path. I want you to think about what it is that you really want, because often it gets clouded in the day-to-day and the responsibilities of who you're already at, or you think of all the reasons why you can't have the things that you want because your parents didn't have them, or because you have kids, or you have too many responsibilities, or too much debt, or you're too far invested into the job or the relationships that you're already in. So you just stay there. You just stay complacent. And while I'm not here to try to convince you to change your life, because that's not what this is about, but this is for the person that wants to fight for more, that is ready to go into battle, that is having some internal wars with yourself, with your inner demons, with your doubt and your discouragement and disbelief that you can actually do this. Some people call it imposter syndrome, and I just really think it's because you haven't fully embraced the vision of what is actually possible for you. Maybe it's never been modeled. Maybe you're the first one in your family like me to actually do it and go out there and seek it. But I'm telling you that it's possible. And I want to tell you today how it first started for me, which was back when I lived in Georgia and I was running a group fitness program. I was also going through a divorce at the time. My husband and I were separated. I had just overcome almost dying. My stepmom had passed away. I was going through so many emotional and mental trials in my life and physical trials. And I was putting everything into helping other people, helping save them from eating disorders and being overweight, and helping them create and train their bodies through these physical fitness programs and personal training and teaching boxing classes and body pump and just throwing everything into the fitness aspect of life. And we had built this program and this group fitness program, and I had the vision to go and build my own dream, to open my own gym. And I stood in a room full of people that I had been training for the past several years, who had witnessed me go through these trials, who had witnessed me come back from the brink of death, who had witnessed me going through a horrible separation with my husband at the time, and still having little kids that were like 3 and 5, and my stepmom, struggling through ovarian cancer. And I helped these people, motivate them and inspire them and challenge them through these physical fitness programs. And I had decided that it was time for me to move on, that I was going to have to leave Georgia and leave this job and leave this safety net and move back to Tampa, back to my hometown, to be closer to my husband at the time, so that we could try to be a family, so that he could be around his kids, and that I would come here and I would build a business, that I would start a gym of my own. And I remember vividly standing in that green room, this huge fitness center room, and telling these people with all of the confidence in the world, like I had already done it and owned it and had the keys to the building, that I was going to be a gym owner and I was opening up my own gym. Meanwhile, inside, I had no idea of what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, if that was even possible, if I was just blowing smoke up everybody's you-know-whats. But I said it and I spoke it into existence. And for some reason, it was something that was on my heart, that I knew that I could do, that if I could do this in a gym setting, in a corporate setting, if I could help these people while I was going through some things, to help both of us rise up and create ourselves at the same time, could I do it on my own? Could I create this dream life, this vision that I had in my head? And within a year, I did. And I had a partner at the time, and we worked really hard together to build something from a dirt field, from the ground up, from our garage. I mean, we just grinded out there in the grass, in the heat, in the Florida lightning storms and thunderstorms and bugs everywhere, and, showing up for one person and two people and then no people, and, just not knowing what we were doing, but believing that we could. And we did. And within 9 months, we had the keys to a brick and mortar, really nice retail space gym. And we built that dream that had been in here. And more stories to come, but eventually what happened was I created this mentality, which turned into my book, The Machete Mentality. You can go into the links in the show notes and go grab yourself a copy on Amazon if you haven't already. But the machete mentality is where I want you to go right now. The machete mentality is all about you just taking a machete, so to speak, and everything that is in your way, everything that is in your path, and starting to just machete everything in the way. All of the attitudes and the BS and the bad stories and the old beliefs and the old patterns, and starting to just chop away anything that is standing in your way. And yes, that means people, places, and things. In order to have not even a rebirth, to really just reinvent yourself, rebuild yourself back better after you are coming back from complete destruction, in my case, demolition, in my case, disaster, in my case, because I was going through a divorce and grief and, almost dying, a physical transformation. It took a toll on me mentally, physically, and emotionally and spiritually, that I had to put myself into a position where I believed without a doubt I would become this gym owner. I would go from just being a personal trainer and a manager of a group fitness program, that I could do it on my own, that I could build this business for myself, that I could have a safe haven and a place for people to come to overcome their hardships and their traumas and the obstacles that were in their way, that they would have a healthy, safe place to lose the weight, to shed the discouragement, the disappointment, to build the confidence and the courage to do the impossible things. And it might sound silly saying that it was getting people to do box jumps for the first time, or do their first pull-up, or run their first marathon, or lose their first 10 pounds and then 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, or to stop using food as a vice to fill up all the empty spaces and voids inside of them that is really a bottomless pit until you figure out what you need from the inside out. And so having this machete mentality that where you are going and what you want to happen, if it is a dream on your heart or inside of you, that if it is an idea or something in your imagination that has a little bit of a flicker, a little bit of a vision, it is not crazy, it is not silly, it is not out there, that is your future self telling you, giving you a signal that somebody else needs you, including your future self. It could be for your kids, it could be for your family, it could be for a complete stranger. But in order to become your future self, you got to start listening to that inner voice, to that restlessness, to that idea. And you got to start bringing that imagination to life and speaking it out there, even if it sounds absurd. When it came out of my mouth, I was standing on top of a big box and I was telling probably 25 or 35 people at the time that I was going to go. I was going to go move and I was going to pick up my life and I was just going to start over and I was going to start a gym. And it was absurd because I had no knowledge of how to run a business. And I got told you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough money. And they were right. But I figured it out along the way, and we figured it out along the way as a team. And while we made a lot of mistakes and screw ups and so many things that I wish I could go back over and do it again better, that's what I'm doing now as I create my new future me. I had always had a dream of writing a book and publishing a book. And it took me years. It took me till I was 45, 44 years old before I put so much self-induced pressure on myself with it that I was never actually stepping into it, of becoming the author, of writing the book, because it had to be the book. It had to be the best-selling book. What current me didn't really realize was that it's going to take a lot more to become that future you, to become that best-selling author of 7 books, which sounds ridiculous, the top-ranked motivational speaker on stage in front of 10,000 people or more, right? It sounds absurd, but if you don't speak it out loud, whatever it might be for you, these are the things that I am working towards, because I want to represent that fighter mentality for women, to speak up for yourself, to fearlessly express the desires and needs that are on your heart, because they are worthy and deserving of you doing it, of you speaking up for it, or of you, even if it fails, because I've failed a lot. I've put out a lot of programs that I thought were amazing and awesome and crickets. And I've done some others that I thought were crap and they were hits. And you're just not going to know until you actually put it out there. So in order to become future you, you first have to have faith in her. that the thing that she wants isn't silly, that if it still is talking to you, I want you to listen to that voice today. I want you to spend some time daydreaming on it. That if you want to take the trip, it's not going to happen unless you book it, unless you set aside the dates. That you don't have to have it all figured out right now. We don't have to create the entire persona of who you're becoming and what you're trying to accomplish. And let me tell you, it's less about the accomplishment. And I'm not going to say it's more about who you're becoming, because you actually create her. You literally make this person. And you know you're there when you start to behave differently and act differently and make different decisions and react and respond differently than the old you. And you start to kind of see that. And the machete mentality allows you to do that, because the 3-step process is to surrender, question, and fight. And that is how you create the path, and machete the path to your future self, is that you figure out the old pieces of you. So if you're taking notes or you want to take notes right now, this would be the time that you've got to decide what to surrender of the old, what's not coming, and then surrender to the path ahead, surrender to the unknown, surrender to the fear of it all, surrender to the instability and the insecurity of it all. Because that is where you will decide that it's worth holding on for, that it's worth showing up for on the days where you just want to throw things and yell and scream and hit the steering wheel in your car or do the ugly cry in the shower, because those days are going to happen. And then when you question current you, who you are now, it's not from a place of, I don't like this person, I hate this person, I'm going to punish this person, I'm going to beat this person up, they can't do it, they're too old, they're too fat, they're too in debt, they don't have enough money, they don't have enough, all of the things. You got to squash those. You got to question. You got to find proof and evidence against them. And you got to start telling yourself, and it's not in that like cheesy, flowy, easygoing affirmation way. You actually have to believe the things. I believed. It sounded nutty coming out of my mouth, but I believed that I would open a gym. I believed that I could do this on my own. I knew that I was going to be an author. I know I'm going to be a best-selling author. I know I'm going to be on stage speaking in front of, it doesn't sound like it when I'm tongue twisted, but you've got to believe it first. And the only way to do that is start surrendering those pieces, surrendering to the scary of it all, the struggle of it all, the hard of it all, honoring that, leaning into that, and then questioning the pieces of you right now. What's good? What's not? Are you growing? Are you stretching? Are you tired? Are you burned out? Are you exhausted? Are you focusing on the good things? Is this still worth what you want? Is this worth the pain? Because it's going to be painful. Is it still in alignment with what I want? Am I following my non-negotiables and my deal breakers, or am I allowing those things to cloud my judgment and my focus? Am I saying yes to things that I don't want to be saying yes to? And we'll talk about how no doesn't need backup dancers in a totally another podcast. And then the last piece that I'll lead you with in order to define your future self is really creating, listening to that voice and creating her. What does she look like? What is she doing? Who is she with? Where is she at? And giving her permission to be flexible, to change her mind, to say no, to say yes, and to do it again and again and again, and to experiment. Because I think a lot of the time, especially high-performing women, driven women, ambitious women, is like we say a goal and we say it out loud, but sometimes along the way we want to change our mind and we think that that's quitting or giving up, and it's not. And I don't like the word pivot. It's just deciding that this is my outcome. This is where I want to be. For me, it's writing books and writing and overlooking the ocean and having an animal sanctuary. And somehow I would like to have the mountains and the farm and the beach all in one place, right? It sounds absurd, I know. But I see me sitting here and I see the ocean and I see my backyard with animals and I see peace and a wraparound porch, and I see that people are transformed by my words and my perspective and my thought leadership and the way that I put it all together that connects the dots and makes sense for them and impacts them, and it changes their life so that they're doing their dreams. And I'm a dream maker, and I'm making dreams based off of the creativity and the resourcefulness and the fire and the fight and the warrior that God's put inside of me to help raise up you so that you do your dream, and whatever your dream is helps affect somebody else's dream. That's my future self, and my future self is secure and she's patient and she's safe. These are the things that matter to me. So I want you to think about that and daydream about it, and you've got to bring it into existence. It can't just stay on your vision board. It's got to be a battle board. And those 3 parts, surrender, question, fight, need to be your daily fight. And keep in mind that it's good, because this is how you question and you kind of audit and give yourself, whether a weekly report card or monthly report card or daily report card, of, am I still in alignment? Do I still have, the non-negotiables and the deal breakers, and Am I doing the things that are in line with my values and my beliefs? Am I being flexible? Am I dialing up and dialing it down? Is this going to get me to my outcome? Even if I have to change my mind and change direction, even if I have to dial up the intensity. One of the things in working out in fitness, right, is first we need consistency, right? We need to show up. We need to start acting as if. You have to act as if your future self. And you can't add intensity until you have enough consistency. So you first got to start doing the surrendering and the questioning and surrender and the question. And that makes it a lot more clear, because clarity doesn't happen right away. So if you're just starting over, starting new, or going through some crushed dreams and life is not happening as you thought it would be, or this shouldn't be the way that it's supposed to be, and you're caught up in that, don't put so much pressure on having clarity right now for your future self. If you can start to just sift through and purge, like you're cleaning out your closet and your junk drawer from your past life, from your trauma, from your hardships, from your heartache, from what was good, the bad, the ugly, and you start to sift through that and pick out the pieces that you really want to keep and bring with you, and then you put that together with the current self, right? And you start to question the things that you're doing now. Are these healthy? Is this progressing? Do I want to bring this with me? Would I want this for my kid? That's one of the questions that hands down I always ask. Would I want my kids to step in my footsteps right now? Am I acting as if, like, if my kids were to just right now fill my shoes, would I be satisfied with the life that they're living? Now, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, no. But here now, yes. And if you don't have kids, maybe it's your best friend or your sister, right? Or your sibling or your cousin or whoever it might be. We always treat them better. So treat yourself that way. And then once you kind of have those two pieces together, from the past and from the current, you can get more clarity on that future self. You can start to define and create her more, but you're often creating her along the way. So it's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay today to not have it all figured out, that it might change. That, I used to want a sailboat. I don't want a sailboat anymore. And I know that sounds silly, right? I used to want to have, my gym was going to be an empire and I was going to own multiple locations. That's not the case anymore. The dream changed, the tool, the platform, the delivery of it all. But what has not changed is my mission to help rise up warriors, fighters, people that want better, that want to do their dream, that want to transform their life from the inside out, that want to make those changes, that want to exercise the muscles of their goals and their dreams and their desires. That is the daily fight. That is the fight for your future self. That is your future self. That outcome has not changed. So I just want you to think about the today as a whole. And I know that's a mouthful. It's a Friday. It's a day to be fierce. So I want you to take this a little bit more as a teaching lesson today, to start to question those. And yeah, you're going to have to write about it. You're going to have to journal about it. You're going to have to get out of your head. You can't just be thinking about it all the time. You're going to have to put pen to paper. You're going to have to get it out of your body. You're going to have to purge it. I had to stand there in that room and speak it out loud. You're going to have to announce it to somebody, to people. And it doesn't mean they need to know all of the details. It doesn't mean you got to go blab it on social media. That's not what I'm talking about. But you do have to put it out there into the world, into the universe. And you just got to listen for that voice, and you have to take the machete and close your eyes. What are the things in your way? We've talked about standards. We've talked about life and death mentality. What are the things that you need to start macheting to clear a path to create a life you crave, to become the person that you want to be, that you know that you can be? And it doesn't matter what stage you're in, and it doesn't matter what your dream or your desire is. It doesn't matter if you're starting at ground zero or you've already climbed several ladders and then you've decided, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be in that room. Shut the damn door and walk across the hall and open a new door in your life. It's really that simple, but we overcomplicate it with all of those inner demons inside. And I will be bringing a podcast next week about dominating your inner demons to help you with this. But today, I hope that you learn to surrender your old self, question your current self, and fight for your future self. And if you need help with that, go to the show notes, grab my book in the link. You can get it on Amazon. It's The Machete Mentality. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and share this. Comment. Let me know where you're at, what you're struggling with, what you're striving as you're going for that future self, as you're fighting for it. What are the things that you're battling? And we can discuss it here, and I'll bring it up on the Daily Fight podcast. My name is Robin Tanner. Thank you for being here and showing up for your future self. There is a warrior inside. Don't be afraid to wake her. Peace out.